Greetings, my friends. Please consider supporting me in my war to save pop culture by subscribing to my channel and possibly even becoming a channel member for exclusive videos, access to Doomcock emojis, and more. And if you like this video in particular, please consider using the new Super Thanks feature and putting a tip in the tip jar located next to the like buttons down at the bottom of the video. Thank you for watching, and now, on to the video. Greetings, my friends. I am Dictor Van Doomcock, the future ruler of Earth, broadcasting from my hidden base at the center of the Earth, and I am here with you today to offer another update on Zaslav's thoughts regarding different proposals to save the Game of Thrones franchise. As you know, in an earlier video, I shared a rumor that David Zaslav at Warner Bros. Discovery is extremely frustrated that there's no real interest in or hype surrounding the upcoming Game of Thrones prequel, House of the Dragon. There are many reasons why this frustration is particularly keen for Zaslav. Firstly, he's upset because Game of Thrones in its prime was one of the biggest hits on television, must-see appointment TV that engaged hardcore fans and normies alike. So this franchise could have been a gold mine if Dumb and Dumber, Dan Weiss and Dave Benahoff, had just bothered to take the time needed to really stick the landing. If the lighting director had remembered to, use light while shooting The Long Night, because in a visual medium, it's kind of an important thing to be able to see stuff. If Jon Snow, being an avatar of the Lord of Light, was the one to dispatch the Night King in battle as opposed to letting Arya yell, "Ree!" run past his guards and stab him with dragon glass like a punk. Yeah, right. Whatever, Arya. You go, Slay Queen. Go away, actually. In short, if Dan and Dave hadn't completely screwed the pooch, Game of Thrones wouldn't be the bitter, tragic disappointment it is today. Given the extreme expense of House of the Dragon, which is running about $10 million per episode and at an estimated $160 million for the first season, they're over budget. And yet, despite all of that, the question remains, why in God's name would anyone want to watch a prequel to a show that ended with such crushing disappointment? No one watches or talks about Lost now because Lost was one of the worst damn con games in the history of television. An empty, worthless piece of garbage that didn't solve any of the mysteries it set up in its 5 seasons. They never actually had a story. It was all a lie. And likewise, knowing that Dumb and Dumber dropped every single ball they had up in the air, that winter came and went in one lousy, badly filmed, underlighted night, why go through all that bullshit again? Why ever revisit that joke of a world, especially given that George R.R. Martin will never, ever finish his book series since he views his loyal fans as complaining annoyances rather than people he owes his fortune to. Game of Thrones is fucking dead to me, and to a whole lot of other people around the world. It's not Zaslav's fault that Game of Thrones is ruined and pointless, but it has dropped on his plate due to House of the Dragon, and so he's desperate to find some way to fix Game of Thrones.
Winter is coming, they kept saying. Throughout the whole damn show, winter is coming. What a joke winter turned out to be. It came and went in one lousy episode, and the big bad Night King got killed by little Arya with a dragon glass dagger, who went "ree" loudly as she ran past his personal bodyguards who were holding spears, I guess, for Instagram shots or some bullshit. What the fuck is there to save here? It's plain out, dude.
Zaslav realizes the extent of the damage, but I guess he doesn't believe in a no-win scenario and wants to take a crack at it. In my last video where I broke this story, I outlined a few ideas Zaslav was entertaining to fix things, but now my Hollywood spies have brought me some new information about multiple approaches that Zaslav is considering and leaking to get public reaction. And so I'm going to share those with you now. At this point, I must tell you that the information I'm about to share is information presented to me via sources claiming to have knowledge of the situation at Warner Bros. Discovery. But since I cannot personally verify any of this, I must present it as rumor, and I ask you to please take it with a grain of salt. My Hollywood spies tell me, quote, To be clear, nothing is in stone, so some or none of this may show up in any future projects. George R.R. Martin has been in meetings with Zaslav over Zoom talking about how best to fix what happened with Game of Thrones. Right now, the most popular option with George is it was all a dream of what could come to pass, and this dream would take place just after Bran's fall, unquote.
Hold your metaphorical horses, Doomcock. Are you saying George R.R. Martin wants to back up that far and basically Bobby Ewing the entire Game of Thrones series? Bran fell out of the window in the first episode, for God's sake. So everything after that was just a dream?
Indeed, you are correct, Skull of Calderon. That's exactly what that means, and personally, to me, that seems insane and completely unworkable. Can you imagine trying to get the entire cast back for this experiment? My Hollywood spies confirmed that, quote, "The biggest problem with this for Warner Brothers is getting all the old cast to come back, and to get them for a price that would make sense," unquote. But it's even worse than that. The kids would come back a lot older, too old to play little kids anymore, and the adults would come back a lot crunchier, the years having passed as they are wont to do. So even though George R.R. Martin is pushing for this idea, it seems like a non-starter to me. In my original video, Zaslav was entertaining the idea of reshooting the last 2 seasons, making those seasons a vision of what could be that Bran was having. Then things could diverge according to Bran's actions to change the timeline, which would stop Bran from being a boring, pretentious nothing burger and turn him into someone who actually has agency and, does something.
That seems like the best idea to me. Everything was going pretty good until the last few seasons, so there's really no need to reshoot every single thing. Agreed. That way lies madness. I suspect that George R.R. Martin is such a hack, he wants HBO to reshoot the whole damn thing, just so he can get all his fees and royalties paid to him all over again. Damn, and I thought I was an evil bastard. You're a bastard, Skull of Calderon, but you're not a greedy hack. That's the nicest thing you've ever said to me, Harvey Cthulhu. Well, we ain't gonna be picking out curtains anytime soon, so don't hold your breath. Oh, right, you can't. You need lungs for that. Philistine swine, breathing is overrated, and when I come to glory, I'll relieve you all of that burden.
Enough. Let's examine some of the other ideas that Zaslav is entertaining. Now we come to a Jon Snow sequel, the latest idea to be leaked. In this proposal, it's been a few years since winter came and went like a wet fart in a shower, and there are rumors that the Mother of Dragons is still alive. One night, Jon Snow has a dream. He sees Dany. He calls to her. She turns, and she's not what she once was. Jon Snow goes to find her, and conveniently for HBO's business model, it takes 5 seasons to find her. George is okay with this, but wants nothing to do with it.
That's because it sucks. Shit on a broken stick, dude. Jon Snow is one of the worst things about Game of Thrones in the end. Just moping around, saying, she's my queen, and I don't want it. My watch has ended. In the end, he was just a spectacular waste of time, and I'm sure the Lord of Light was like, why the hell did I bring this mopey fuck back to life? Well, being a necromancer, it does explain to me why Jon Snow is such a stiff. It's consistent. You can bring them back from the dead, but you can't make them pole vault and juggle while singing Mammy on a unicycle. Believe me, I've tried.
I guess that makes sense, O Calderon. So what of the other ideas floating around? I am informed that one idea is the Night King that Arya ran up to going ree and killed in one of the dumbest climaxes ever written by a human being not named Alex Kurtzman? Well, that wasn't the real Night King. Nope, turns out he was a bait-and-switch Night King, and the one that was killed wasn't the real one, but a proxy the real Night King was controlling from the safety of his ice fortress, warging, I suppose, like Bran. In this scenario, it's been years after the main events of the series, enough time so they don't need any of the OG cast. They'd need Bran maybe and a few other cameos, but they would recast the whole show at less expense using less established actors. Zaslav likes this idea, so we've been told. What do you think, Harvey?
It stinks.
Oh!
Seriously, Doomcock, it doesn't fix all of the things that we hated about the original series. It's putting a Band-Aid on the neck of Marie Antoinette as her body flops away from the guillotine.
I can't argue with that, Harvey. We are in agreement on this. Other ideas deal with a new Night King that arises, and we have a resurrected Dany, the mother of dragons, returning as an Ice Queen with an army of dead dragons at her side. This idea isn't as bad, I suppose, but again, it leaves what went so horribly wrong intact, and we're back at square one. Why bother to watch more of this crap? Nevertheless, it's clear this is very important to Zaslav. He wants to fix this. He has seen the breakdown of what Game of Thrones did back in the day, and the way he sees it, if he can get half of that audience back, it will make Max a force to be reckoned with. I would like to say, folks, please don't watch this show. These guys basically spit in your face. They didn't treat you with respect, they didn't treat the material with respect, and they didn't respect themselves. Without respect, we reject. The clearest way to send a message that we will not accept substandard material is not to watch it, not to promote it, and certainly not to pay for it. Keep your wallets closed, folks, and remember, without respect, we reject. From the center of the earth, this is Dictor Van Doomcock bidding you all, my friends, stay angry. Ha 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 ha.